the UK military, these big militaries gain from currently, right now, spreading something in the
It was
atmosphere?
actually something David Keith said at one of the, I think it was a TED interview, where he basically said, what if a private company, or what if it was a country like, say, China or Russia that decided they were going to start controlling the weather? And who gets to decide what the temperature is on the global scale?
So are we talking
Who gets
about
to determine?
climate or weather?
Climate.
Okay, so
Because-
if you were going to destroy
Both.
climate,
Yeah,
but
and
all the
weather.
pictures I've seen, so this is just some really
Yeah.
basic science. All the pictures I've seen are aircraft in what's called the troposphere because they have
Yes.
contrails.
Yes.
They wouldn't be useful for
But-
doing.
But
let me-
the
let me just-
question was,
let me just- okay.
why are they doing this?
Okay.
And the concept
Got it.
is that, is there anyone in this room that isn't trying to do good right now? Not one of
Yeah.
us here has bad intentions. I don't think anyone has bad intentions, but the road to hell is paved with bad intentions.
So-
Good
Good intentions. Yeah,
I
But-
appreciate what you said.
Yeah.
But I cannot reflect back to you the reason why you believe they're doing it. You said.
I believe the Canadian government, the military governments are trying to help us.
Okay.
They're trying to
But by
do
weather,
us
for
good.
weather control.
Well,
So what are they
What's,
helping us?
what are they trying to do?
what are they
I
trying to
believe
do?
they think that they're helping us. I do believe that.
I understand, but-
By doing what?
But by doing, with what goal?
Here's the thing,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm raising the questions because what I do know is that there are new levels of aluminum that we're finding. It's interesting, he's a naturopath because
Finding in the
that
water.
we're finding it in the water, the soil, everything. And my daughter, who's 3, is being, exposed to this. I'm trying to figure out why. Of course, there's a lot of talk about vaccines and drugs and all of the other ideas.
Excuse me, is there water?
What I do know for sure.
Yeah, right by the bathrooms in the front, yeah.
Monsanto is developing these aluminum-resistant seeds. Why are they doing that? Well, does anybody see how that ties together?
Of
That
course.
Monsanto was the original company that was spraying during the wars as a weapon to use against the enemy. And they actually did use it in Canada at CFB Cagetown. And the vets right now are being compensated
This
for being
is
sprayed.
245T or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. So when we talk about private company and military, well, technically Monsanto is a private company, but technically they've been paid by the military to have all this technology and have all of this knowledge which they have used. So, it's not that I'm trying to say this is only civilian aircraft or it's all the government's fault. It's a collaboration.
Understood, but so
Can
wait.
I just,
Okay.
Sloan, you said, when I reiterated why would a government complex invest this type of money to perform this? And you said, who cares? And so I just was wondering if you could expand on that.
Sure, because I can have all types of conspiracies about what's going on, whether it's climate change, depopulation, whether it's
HAARP.
they're keeping secrets, whether it's HAARP. The bottom line is there's something happening. We're seeing things, we're observing things that have changed. We're seeing health impacts, and we are not in the know, including, I'm assuming, both of you.
Yes.
You have no clue what we're talking about, which is very interesting to me.
No. This being said, both
So
of us
when I
have
said-
seen the same things and have done a substantial amount of reading on this and have
Mhm.
spent a lot of time thinking about it. So
So-
I don't
so
think
what-
it's fair to say we don't know.
Well,
No,
sorry.
but we don't know. I mean, to the extent that if one assumes there is something,
Yes,
yeah, if there's
yes.
something happening, we don't know about it,
We've
yeah.
heard chemtrails, I don't know what that
Yeah.
is. So
Yeah.
the aerosol spraying and the conference of the American Association of Advanced Science that David was talking about and looking at risks of some form of spraying, which allegedly is not happening right now. When I say who cares, what I mean is it doesn't matter exactly what it is, it's that we don't know and it's happening over our heads without our consent.
I need to.
That's my,
So what are, I'd like
That's
to,
mine.
maybe could we have some other answers to Ashley's question? Like what, so assuming this thing is happening, one of the ways I try and think it through is I want to have a story in my head, like why are they doing that?
Right.
And does the story fit together? Like I've heard, just a sec, I've heard some people say they want to have some mass killing the population. I think if I was going to do that, why would I spray poisons from aircraft? I just put it in water or food. So I'm just trying to sort of understand the sequence of thinking that's going on here. So what's a purpose?
It's really good to interject at this point,
Yeah.
going back to Dr. Judy Wood.
Okay.
She said, going back to 9/11, everybody come up and says, it's an inside job, it's this and this and this. And it's just before you can determine why, which is what we're talking about, why would people do this? That's the very last question you ask, not the first. The first thing to do is to discover the evidence, to discover what happened, and then how it's being done. Then you can perhaps find out who is doing it, and then why. So here we're trying to figure out why, which is retarded, because this is the last question. Until you know what's going on, if you're not convinced that it's actually happening, who cares why they may be doing it? It's irrelevant at this point. First of all, you have to establish what is happening. Where's the evidence? That's what you said. You want to see it.
Yeah.
And so once that's done, okay, then how are they doing it? Then who is doing it?
Yeah,
Then you
sure.
ask
Yeah.
why. Talking about why they're doing it is ridiculous, because we don't know who's
Well,
doing
but
it.
I feel like we're building a bridge from two directions, which is
So-
fine. So we have a lot of uncertainty here, or maybe some of you are more certain, but we're grappling with something you don't understand very well. And so I think it's both useful to try and figure out what evidence we really have, and try and figure out sort of essentially theories that fit the evidence
Right.
together. And those theories have to involve somebody wanting to do something for some purpose. And then you have to think logically, what's the chain of them doing that? So if the government, so when I think
You're
about what you
analytical,
said,
for sure.
if the government was trying to modify the weather to our benefit, why would they do it in a way that had a lot of lies? Because the people making the decision would know that once those lies were exposed, they would fall instantly, right? The government would be brought down, would collapse. What would be in it for them?
There's a long
So
history, though,
I
of
think
that.
about people's self-interest. I try to think,
The
how does it work?
naturopaths wanted
Yeah.
to speak.
I would have to, I'm just going to add my perspective. I read conspiracy theories and so forth because I find them entertaining, and some of them, there may be something to them. But I always, in my mind, have this divorce between what people are talking about and my lived experience.
Yeah.
So clinically, I see certain things, and then you can theorize, oh, this is because of this, and this is because of that. But at the end, all the theorization is just you talking, unless you've got unless you've got various sources of data and so forth. Clinically, right now, I see lots of very, what's the word? I see a great deal of non-specific pathologies. People come in, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Their body is not functioning as well as it used to. Their body is not performing as well. They're exhausted, they're fatigued, and so forth. There's a lot of non-specific illnesses that are not, one might call pathologies. There's not, like, you can go and this person dies and you get an autopsy and the tissue changes aren't there, but things just aren't functioning as well as they perhaps might have. So that is my lived experience right now, is living and treating these people and helping them get better and so forth. I am seeing a greater incidence of this as time goes on. I've only been in practice for 2 years. However, I do have people, mentors and so forth, who've been in practice 30, 40 and so forth years, where this has been an increasing pattern. They're like, oh, Paul, I never used to see things like that. I used to give kids a remedy and they'd get better like instantly, and now it's just years and years of work to get them to the point where they're actually functional, healthfully and so forth. So this is the lived experience, and I suppose the experience that I'm living vicariously through right this minute. Theoretically, and I'm thinking a lot of other people, because I do this for a living, I have a lot more exposure to this. Theoretically, I know a lot of people are in their own lives, having these same symptoms and so forth, and coming through to these same answers, or coming through to these, something weird is happening. I mean, that's the basic theme underlying most of these theories and so forth. What the fuck is going on? Something weird is happening, and then there comes the observations and the jumping and the compounding of these into theories and so forth. When we actually bring it down to lived experience, I mean, I have no idea what's going on, or whether or not chemtrails, there's any chemical constituents to them or so forth, whether there's a deliberate action to it, or who's doing it or anything. But I do see these clinical outcomes increasing, these clinical entities increasing in frequency, and I don't know what's doing it. I see people peeing out plutonium, and I see people peeing out all these weird metals.